Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today it is soul stains, heart pain, and a man walking with a cane. We've got two stories on deck for you today. I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups and their relationships. I'm a life coach, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm an author. If you like this show, subscribe and hit the bell. The two stories that we have on deck today are actually two real stories that were sent into writemac.com. I've been off the airways for about a week now, and there is an exciting announcement to make. I have a new website. It's still writemac.com, but it's a much snazzier website, cleaner, and I got a bunch of different stuff on there, but one of the things I'm most proud of is something called Book Notes, where I review books that I really liked in the past and that give you some useful information. So go check out writemac.com. If you have a story you want to share, go to writemac.com, send it in. And if you'd like to book a live coaching session with myself, fully unpack your breakup, get some clarity moving forward, then go to writemac.com and schedule a session today. If you don't find the session useful or helpful moving forward with your breakup, then I will refund you. So, before we get started on the show today, I'd like to give you a quote from my own bag of quotes. And that is to keep showing up. What does that mean? Is that really a quote? Yeah, it is a quote. Keep showing up. That means when you're down, you're out, you're in a breakup, you lost the love of your life, you lost your job. Keep showing up. Sometimes that's all we can do, right? Two of the stories today that we have, one of them is going to involve a individual that it's kind of a different situation than just a breakup, and that this was a casual dating situation where the person actually moved in next door to them, and then they started something casual, and now it's gotten deeper. And then the second story is going to be a divorce story with the drunk, to put it bluntly. And basically, they got a divorce for all the right reasons. And what I mean by that is that, you know, there's a big problem that couldn't be fixed. And the guy chose to not stick around and keep banging his head against the wall, so to say. Got a divorce, moved on, and the person came back, and they said, guess what? I don't drink anymore. So those are the two stories on deck. This is how this show is going to run for a while now. There will be story time every day in the beginning. So let's get into it, folks. I've got a different situation. It's not your usual breakup or really a breakup at all. It's more about a girl I've been seeing and seems to be getting hot and cold. So I don't know specifically what this person means by getting hot and cold, because that can mean many different things. This woman went out to dinner with, this woman I went out to dinner with, but had no sparks with, recently became my neighbor by chance. That's a pretty big chance. We went out once and she never contacted me either. So about 6 months ago, she moves in next door. Over time, we'd talk casually. So I'd say if she moved in, and you went out, you had a casual dinner, it didn't work out, there was no sparks, he says, and she never contacted him, and then she became his neighbor, well, I don't think that's a stalker. That might just be by chance, or it could be a synchronicity. Neither of us, again, seemed to be interested in taking it to the next level, but then we had lunch one day at my house, and then she started to help me out with things at the house. It was all casual and platonic. Then one day we ended up in bed together. My question would be, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was your attraction? Because if you went out to dinner, what was your reason for the sparks not flying? Probably attraction. So they end up in bed together. It was good too. Well, when it's good, right? But I decided to pump the brakes immediately, as I just didn't see her as a long-term partner in my life, and I believe that's what I'm looking for. Well, that, you know what? Go for you, because there's a difference between settling for a nice piece of pie that you're not really interested in long term, and you going, you know what, I'm going to go all in on finding someone that I really want to spend some time with. And this usually has to do with your age and where you're at in life, because there are times when you just want to have fun and have casual encounters, right? And you're saying, no, I don't. And you can identify right away if you've had some experience dating or you've had some past partners, like, look, this isn't going to be a long-term relationship. There's just some things about this person that don't get me going. And by the way, there should be some kind of sparks on the first date for people that end up being life partners, wives, husbands, long-term relationships, right? That being said, people can grow on you, I guess. And if they're going to be your neighbor or coworker, those are the times they might grow on you. So, I believe that's what I'm looking for. She accepted that and went cold on me for a few days. I was okay. That's what I wanted. We didn't speak for a few days, but there was no bitterness. Still said hello in passing. And then a week later, it just says some Sunday evening. Oh, I was having some beers Sunday evening alone at my house. That evening was so hot, so I was at my porch area. She was coming home, and of course, she joined me when I asked her to. Wasn't this convenient? Your neighbor is the woman that you've slept with, and it was good. You have a couple beers on a Sunday evening. She walks up, and you go, hey, you want to join me? Sure, why not? Sounds like it was meant to be for that Sunday evening. And, of course, we hooked up again, and it was great. And, again, I clarified that I didn't want a long-term relationship. She agreed and said the same, but this time wanted a kiss and hug goodbye. And the next day, when she saw me, she went for a hug immediately. Well, I mean, someone can say that they're up for a casual relationship of friends with benefits. I think it's pretty much a different ballgame if you're neighbors, right? It's one of those things. It would be much easier to be friends with benefits or casual if you didn't live next door to each other. And then also I would say that, sometimes an individual goes, yeah, that's fine. But deep down inside, if they have a strong interest in you, and then, by the way, someone that hugs or kisses you, that could be casual to them and extremely clingy to you. It just depends on the individual. I liked it, but my guard is up on this one. As she told me, she was the one to leave both her boyfriends because they were just too clingy and wanted marriage and a kid. So what does that convey? That conveys that she doesn't like clingy boyfriends and she's not up for marriage and a kid. Is that something you want? She said that they both begged her back, but she was finished. She went on to say that she's basically good at moving on. She's only been with 2 men before me, and she's in her 30s, so it's not like she's got a lot of experience, but something holds me back with her. I think if you're holding back, it's something beyond just her. So you're giving me some background on her past relationships, but you're not giving me any on yours. So if you wanted to do a live coaching session, that's something we would dig a little deeper on, and you'd probably be able to come to the conclusion of why you're holding back, and it might be more than meets the eye. I guess it's the fact that we don't connect into deeper conversations on topics I like, and her sense of humor is a bit simple. Well, sense of humor, is one of those things that it varies with each individual, and if you find someone's sense of humor very simple and you are, dare I say, sophisticated in your sense of humor, sarcastic, ironic, it might get a little old, right? Now, this last week, she went cold on me again. Well, she's probably up and down, hot and cold, because it seems like she's got feelings for you. She's conveyed those feelings with you. She slept with you. It was good. And also, you've told her repeatedly that you don't really want more. She's been huggy, lovey, dubby, wine glasses, rose petals and wine glasses, etc. And then you keep putting your arm up, your hand up. At some point, she's going to get the message. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, I kind of like this attention. So you need to shit or get off the pot, my friend. I'm not sure why, really. So now I find myself missing her attention and sweetness. I suppose she's upset that I haven't asked her out to do anything outside the house, and I haven't been keen on the hug. So now I'm wondering, do I want her back just because she pulled away, or do I need to explore this relationship deeper? Now, this is a great question because she's your neighbor. So this isn't, this is where your story counts. Because her being your neighbor, if it doesn't work out, do you want to see her every day, right? You don't know this individual very well, by the way, either. So I'd say that you being neighbors, you got to really tread lightly on this. If you want to explore it, which if you weren't neighbors, I'd say absolutely, no brainer, right? I think that that's the biggest problem here. You're neighbors. But if you've hooked up with her more than once and it was good, and you kind of think, what's missing? There's something missing. There's something not right there. There's something, describing her sense of humor as simple doesn't sound very inviting. So, and the idea that you mentioned earlier that you're looking for something long term, you wouldn't need a question if you want to see her again. What this relationship is right now is it's extremely convenient, like fast food. You're having, Sunday beers, and she walks up and you go, oh, this is great. This works for today. That being said, if you can keep it under control, but here's the other elephant in the room. Let's just say you keep it casual. She says, fine, I'm fine with being casual. And then she brings some guy home and you're next door listening or vice versa. So I would say tread lightly, allow yourself to hang out, have fun, have a good time. But, are you locked into where you live? Would be my other question. Is this someplace that you really like living, or are you planning to move in the future? Because it's just not ideal that you're neighbors. In the live stream, I'll get to the notes at the end of the story. All right. But keep the questions coming, please. Should I actually ask her out and spend an afternoon or evening with her? I'm perplexed as I don't want her as my wife, and me being 35, that's what I'm looking for. Should I explore it deeper? What's your take? People would think like, oh, it's an easy answer. Then don't do it. If she's not going to be your wife, she's not. You got to really ask yourself, really, what's your issues here? I would say I would go out with her again. I think the biggest issue is she's your neighbor. So if it doesn't work out and she becomes a psycho or stage 5 clinger, it's kind of like working with someone that you date. It's always an odd situation when that doesn't work out. So add into the fact that she's not for you long term, and you're 35 and that's what you're looking for. Because here's the other thing about this is, if you're single, she's single, you guys are hooking up regularly, I'm going to tell you right now, you think that you're running the show. You think that, oh, she's got feelings for me, she's huggy and kissy with me. But actually what you told me is she walked away from 2 other guys pretty cleanly. She told you that. She's the one to break up with 2 other guys. And don't put it past her that if you continue to hook up with her and be cold with her, that she brings home a guy in front of you. And I don't think you'll like that. Most guys don't like that. And that'll really get your attention. So I would say that my objective short answer would be no, cut it now. But here's the other answer. What kind of other action are you getting? Are you in a community, a city, or a place where you have other options going? Are you spinning other plates? Are you seeing other women? Or is this kind of like the only show in town for you? That matters. A lot of people, oh, you should be seeing other women. I don't know. There's some guys that I've talked to that live in a town of 100 people, right? So I would recommend, if it's really perplexing you, to do a live coaching session, because I have to ask you some deeper questions on this. All right, so one question from the live stream was from the great LinderTube, LT, not to be confused with Lawrence Taylor. This seems like an odd question maybe, but how was the kissing? Was she a good kisser? Was there fireworks with the making out? Good question. I suppose. Kissing means more to some people than others. And the ironic thing about kissing is that you can feel like someone's a bad kisser and you could have just had a bad kiss, or they could think you're a bad kisser because you don't kiss in their style, because there's a style to kissing for every individual, right? There is. So that's definitely one of those things that some people value more than others. But I get why you'd ask that, Lindertube. You're in other words, that's a prerequisite for Mr. Lindertube on the live stream today, that if the kissing's good, then the passion will be good. But he already said when they hooked up and they slept together that it was good. There is a style most get it wrong. I don't know if they get it wrong or that's just their style, right? All right, next story. Hey, Coach Mac, I have been binge watching your channel for a week now. It's time to write my story and get your take on it. I was divorced over 6 years ago and met my now ex about 6 months after the divorce. The divorce was painful, but completely different ball game than the breakup. Now, I find this a lot, that guys that were married for a long time can go through a painful divorce, but their first relationship out of their divorce, whether that's 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever happens in that breakup really throws them a curveball, because they've been with someone so long that they've developed a playbook on relationships based on who they were married to and how marriage works for them. And so first of all, their first relationship out of a bad divorce, or a relationship where, let's say that, for a year or 2 years, there's been a lot of problems. A lot of times that first relationship is solid gold, right? It's like the greatest thing that ever happened to them. And so when that relationship goes wrong in 6 months, a year, 2 years, they're devastated, because they were like, wow, this was so good. It was so great. But really, it was a different kind of relationship. He writes on, my divorce had assets to divide. She went for the gold on everything. I felt betrayed and just plain angry. She was seeing someone else and wanted the divorce. Yet I had to give her half or more in some cases of what was acquired while with her. I won't go any further into that as it's a sore subject still. I understand. No need to do that. So I met this current ex about 5.5 years ago. We met at the mall. Okay. It was an outdoor mall, and I was having coffee with my dog sitting below the table. She came over to ask what breed my dog, common questions, as it's a half golden retriever, half lab. From there, we started talking. I got her number. We went out for dinner that week. The beginning was rose petals and wine glasses, as you say. That's how it should start. And she loved wine, which would later become a problem. Dun, dun. About 3 months after dating, she moved in, which was fine by me, as my place was closer to downtown and her work. Plus, she was staying over a lot. We had a pretty good first couple years. I did notice she liked to drink a lot more than I did. She wasn't too bad during the week, but on the weekend, she'd get hammered sometimes and actually would attempt to get hammered, and actually would attempt to get me hammered too. So she's a weekend warrior, right? Binge drinker. Gotcha. It was embarrassing sometimes at public events, she'd get wasted. Well, that's a big no-no. When you have a girlfriend, you have a partner, they're a reflection of you. You should be proud to be with them. There certainly could be some moments that they're embarrassed, but for them to embarrass you and getting wasted, you never want to be the guy with the drunk girlfriend that's flirting with all the other guys. And the thing that's horrible is if you go to public events, other guys at those events find your wife as a wounded on the savannah, and they'll pursue her. And I've had friends that have actually had girlfriends that are like this, and the stories they have are just horrible. Like you go to a wedding with someone like this, and it's inevitable that some guy's going to be hitting on your girlfriend while she's wasted, and it just greases the wheels for some bad shit to happen. I kind of turned a blind eye because it wasn't an everyday thing, and I had an alcoholic parent that was 10 times worse than her. So I've seen a real alcohol and didn't feel like she fit the bill. Well, there you go. It's apples to oranges. You're feeling like the idea that you're feeling like, well, I've seen a real alcoholic before, someone that's much more worse than this. The reality is, if you accept this shit, if you accept this crap, it's just going to continue to happen again and again and again and again. And don't complain about it later on. Kyle, Masculine Energy, always a pleasure. I hope you're doing well, my friend. We're going to have to get a show together at some point. I turned a blind eye because it wasn't an everyday thing, as I had an alcoholic parent. I'm sorry, I lost my place. But then by year 3, she started drinking more during the week, taking down a bottle of wine every night. Dun dun. I asked her about it, and she said it didn't affect her work, and she never had bad hangovers. I told her that wasn't the point. Well, this is the thing. So you start out a relationship, and you go, she's like, we're good together, this, that, and the other. She's kind of got this drinking problem. Like, but you put it to the side because intimacy is good. I've actually had a client before that had we did hours of live coaching. He had a really bad breakup with her. And it wasn't until maybe, I don't know, the 4th or 5th coaching session that he actually had said that she had a drinking problem. And they didn't live together. So he's like, yeah, she used to just drink on the weekends, but it used to be great for intimacy. And he was laughing about it. I said, hey, look, man, if you would have moved in and married this woman, which was a plan, what they were planning on doing, it would have been hell. This is what happens when you start dating someone and they have a problem or they have something you really don't like, but you kind of let it go. If you end up living with that person or getting married or have a long-term relationship, that problem will grow like a weed. Absolutely. But then by year 3, she started drinking more, taking down a bottle of wine. I said, I don't like being around you when you're drunk. Well, that's an understatement. She called me a square and that I don't know how to have fun. I kind of let it go. That's the second time you said you kind of let it go. I'd highly recommend reading the book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, for another year. Let it go for a whole nother year. But it was getting on my nerves. I suppose I let it go even more because I lost my job and she carried us for almost a year. So I felt like I was less in the relationship. Well, thank you for divulging that, because a lot of people would be like, oh shit, right? This kind of stuff happens. A lot of times we talk about women hanging with men for money, but this is a situation. If he lost his job, I don't know the details of it. I'm not condoning staying with someone that's a drunk or an alcoholic because of this, but it is a reason that isn't surprising, right? So she carries him for the next year, almost a year. So I felt like I was less in the relationship. So the ironic thing is, you feeling like less in the relationship's probably going to hurt you from getting a better job. Then about 2 years ago, I got back on deck, started the gym again, got a killer job I like, and suddenly I felt like I wasn't going to accept her drunken ways. I confronted her, and she said she tried to cut it to the weekends. She didn't. She refused to leave. She refused to leave with me. This made things worse. Oh, wait. Excuse me. I lost my place here. Extremely small type. This is my fault. I confronted her, and she said she tried to cut it to the weekends. She didn't. She didn't. Then that same year, we went to a close friend's Christmas party, and she got hammered, and a younger guy at the party ended up coaxing her into the garage, where I found her sitting on his lap. Jesus. I went nuts, and she refused to leave with me. This made things worse. These things made this. I don't know if you wanted to leave with her or not. It's pretty embarrassing. It was probably the most embarrassing moment of my life, and I was 42 at the time, so I've been embarrassed before. The next couple of days, we didn't talk. She eventually said sorry. I demanded she do rehab or get out. I mean, at that point, with having a Christmas party event where she refused. She's sitting on some dude's lap in the garage. I don't even know if rehab's going to do anything for that. I don't even know if, I don't, that's the thing about that. She gets rehab, she gets clean for a little while, and you still have visions of the guy in the garage. No bueno. She said I was right to be upset and that she thought she could just cut back. She tried again, and then it just continued. So about 7 months ago, I pulled the plug and broke up with her. Well, congratulations. I wish I could have threw you a party with some women in the garage. I knew she wasn't going to change. I moved out and was happy with the decision. Of course, I do miss her, but I couldn't handle the drinking. She entered a rehab, also apologized directly for the New Year's party I accepted. Christmas party. I'm wondering now, should I meet her? I'm just wondering if started to feel myself again. I'm curious, but also, can you ever believe a lifetime drinker? Okay, so I lost my place here again. Usually I redo these in bigger type, and I just read this off the email. This is my fault for not making it bigger type. She entered a rehab about 3 months ago because drinking got worse again. So I left, so her sister got her in rehab and paid for it. Now last week she called me up and said she's fully clean and wants to get lunch to talk. She also apologized directly for the Christmas party I accepted. I'm wondering now, should I meet her? I just started to feel like myself again. I'm curious, but also, can you ever believe a lifetime drinker will quit after one rehab? Here's my answer. It's a choice. My pops was a bad drinker, alcoholic, been through about 4 or 5 rehabs. I mean, is it possible someone can come out of rehab and not drink again? Absolutely. The fact that you caught her in the garage with that guy, even if the rehab's right, that's a stain that I don't know if you're going to get out. The fact that you stayed with her for so long and went through so much, you're going to be looking for things that piss you off. So I would just, if you're feeling good again, I would just move on and move forward. If you don't have anything else going on right now, you said, I think it's 7 months ago, and you haven't hooked up with a woman, that's why you're probably entertaining this, is because it's been a little dry, right? You've had a little dry run. It's Friday night, you have a couple beers, and you're like, I'd like some intimacy. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, maybe that lunch will work out. Be honest with yourself. Know what your intentions are. Don't go out on the lunch because you think she's going to change. Ask yourself why you're really going to entertain that lunch. My suggestion, bet on yourself being single. Put yourself back out there. Because if you were together this long, you've already labeled her a lifetime drinker. That just means that you don't believe her. What's your take? Should I get lunch with her? I do miss her, but I'm not sure I trust her at this point. I've heard it so many times. That's your answer right there. So you're going to go into it sideways, not trusting her. Even if you were to get back together, you guys hook up, it's rose petals and wine glasses, it's great intimacy. The next day, you're still going to have issues. You're still going to have flashbacks of the garage situation. So if you got the gusto and you're starting to feel better, move on. The other thing is she looks great. I just recently took a peek at her Facebook and got my love juices flowing. I can't lie. So should I go to lunch on a discovery mission, as you say? I just told you the answer. All right, folks, let's get into the live stream. We got 12 on deck, 3 likes. Let me know what you're feeling today. Rob, good to have you at the gate again. It's been a while, my friend. So let's just go through this. Tons of guys suffering through a breakup don't have proper boundaries, says the great masculine energy, also known as Kyle. Sounds to me like she's got some trauma to deal with, that she drinks. Now she's addicted to the booze. Could be a lot of things, right? I mean, the main thing is, someone that has an alcohol or a drug problem, they got to hit ground zero. And they have to have some serious consequences, not consequences that are like, hey, I don't like you drinking. It embarrasses me or upsets me. Oh, okay, I'll cut back. Oh, okay, I'll try to quit for the week. They have to have some shit happen that's really, really bad. that makes them traumatized by the idea that they're drinking and it's gonna completely ruin their life. If they're able to get away with it, and also it does something to hide, some kind of trauma in their past, then they'll just keep doing it. The idea, if you take someone back like that, I would say this: it's one of those things. You're still gonna have wreckage on the road because of what went down when you were together. It's always going to be in the Rolodex of your mind thinking, this could happen again. Hey, let's say you go to a Christmas party again and she's quote unquote sober, and you think to yourself, oh shit, they're serving drinks, and my buddy Danny's going to be there and he's going to be passing out shots. And, it just puts you in an uncomfortable situation. And the fact that you don't trust her. Now, the reason someone would try to make this work, right? A different case is if you were married with kids. Let's say you're married with kids and you go, I want to give this individual the benefit of the doubt because you have something outside of yourself that you're serving and being that you want your kids to have two parents. That to me is a reason to give it another chance. If you don't have kids, you don't have assets together, you're not married. I don't think he was married in this situation because he was coming out of divorce. Then I would say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and move on. And be on with it. All right, so we got Lindertube says, kissing is everything. Even if it's segs is good and the kissing isn't pure chemistry, it's going to be enough. I know from this from experience. Is kissing everything? I would say, though, it definitely differs from, woman to woman, for sure. To say it's everything, though. Different strokes for different folks. Drunkenness usually leads to hypergamy. Isn't hypergamy always been there, regardless of drinking or not? What do you mean by that, Rob? This guy is letting everything do. She's gonna walk all over him. Well, it's like when you read a story like this and he goes, I let it go, I let it go, I let it go, and then I let it go, and then I let it go. I think a lot of times you think that you're being the bigger person by letting it go. And the reality is you're just setting up the playbook and the rules for the future of the relationship. She's a mess. She's hypergamous, and the alcohol reinforces her intentions. This is over, but he wants to sustain it, so let's entertain it. I wonder if she's also addicted to weed or drugs. That wasn't mentioned. The guy in the garage was a deal breaker. He needs a purpose on life. He made the drunk, hypergamous woman his purpose. This guy needs to look at masculine energy book list and read some books on these topics and learn. Sorry, but this guy is socially ignorant on these topics. He's considering going back. Like you said, no bueno. Yep. Well, every story is easy to read and easy to give your take on, but when you're in the middle of it, right? When you're in the goddamn middle of it, it seems very dark. She's for the streets or the garage in this case. I don't think I've ever had that situation. Have you guys ever had a situation where your girlfriend's basically on some guy's lap? I had a story. This is a good story, actually. This one just bubbled up. We got 12 on deck, 4 likes. I appreciate it. Donations are also appreciated. Check out the new website, rightmac.com. I also have book notes on there. So it's not just recommended books, but actually notes from the books that I recommend. You might want to check that out, Rob. That might be up your alley. So this story goes like this. So one of my really good friends from high school, he was a pretty heavy drinker, binge drinker, we'll say. One of those individuals that had a few DUI, more than one DUI with an accident, right? Anyhow, he ended up with this girl post high school. So he didn't go to college, but he ended up with this woman out of high school. Let's just say we were in our early 21 years old. And basically, this woman was, she was known. She was known to be a little frisky. There was rumors around her in the neighborhoods. And she was a bigger girl, and she liked to drink. And it was one of those girls that you would not make your girlfriend, right? And he made her his girlfriend. She wasn't highly attractive. That's being nice. She had a punchy personality, right? Like, it wasn't masculine, but it was like bossy would maybe be the word. Pugnacious, if I'm going to use a bigger word. And he was a very quiet, laid-back guy. And he absolutely loved being with her because she liked to drink. He liked to drink. And he said the intimacy was the best he ever had. Right? And she was a pretty big girl. Anyhow, different strokes for different folks. It was what he liked. It was what he was into. And she even was one of those that she just talks shit about people. You know, because she was from when you grow up in the same town or city or suburb, right? You go to the same high school and you just know people from your area. And she just was always a big shit talker, shit disturber. She'd create shit. She'd, start rumors, this, that, and the other. I just didn't think she was a very good person, to be honest. And she even, my girlfriend at the time, she even like had a beef with her and, was talking behind her back. It was just, like I said, not a good person. So he ended up with this girl for a good 2.5, 3 years or something like that. I don't even know how long it was. Maybe it was 3+. And they moved to an area of California that was kind of like a country area. And actually, to be honest, it wasn't like I stopped being friends with them, but I just stopped hanging out because I didn't like her, right? And we just kind of drifted apart. It wasn't one of those things like, hey, I'm not going to hang out with you because you're hanging out with this person. It wasn't like that. It was just, you just drift apart. And anyhow, years later, because I had moved out of the Bay Area. I lived in San Diego for almost 4 years, and then moved back to San Francisco, and then I moved to Thailand. So a lot of my good friends coming out of high school were cool, but we didn't hang out a lot over these years. I've been doing some other things. So it was like my late 20s. I had come out of a different breakup, right? And me and him were having beers, and I said, whatever happened with so-and-so, I won't say her name. We'll just call her Kim, as in Lil Kim. And he's like, oh, I'm like, because you guys were together for a while, like what happened in that breakup? And he was like, that was easy to get over. I was like, really? I was like, you guys were together for years. Like I said, I don't remember how many years, but they were together for years. They lived together. They were deep. I said, what happened? He goes, when we lived together, they had a hot tub, and they basically rented this house out in a lake area. I don't know why I don't want to say the area, but I want to keep it semi-anonymous. In this area was like a party zone in Cali, right? And so they rented this cabin. They had a hot tub. And people would come over there to party, right? And he said one night, there was a group of people over partying and stuff like that. And he said that he came outside. She was in the hot tub naked with 2 other guys. And he's like, I was done. And she was like, what's up? What's up? Yeah, we're just chilling. Jump in. And he was like, I was done. I was like, damn. Like, if that, I can't imagine that happening, man. I don't know if, I've had one time where, yeah, with 2 dudes. Yep. And so he told me that story that was years later, and he said he was already having issues in the relationship, but he was dust. It was dust. He was like, he looked at me, he was like, I was done. I got over that one real quick. Like, we were done. But could you imagine? I did tell this story in an older video. That's funny you knew that. Yeah, I did tell this story in another video. An old video, for sure. I did tell that story for sure. Could you imagine? But here's the thing. I knew the girl. I knew her history from, it was one of those things, looking back, when you go to high school, right? And then like you get out of high school and maybe your district or your area has like 3 or 4 high schools, right? You know people through people. There's all these rumors and this girl's a hoe, or this, I don't even like calling girls. I just feel like it's demeaning. But she had a reputation. And she knew it, and she was proud of it. That's why I said Lil' Kim. Because that's what she was, that's how it would line up, right? And so it was kind of funny because I remember when he first started dating her, and, like we'd all hang out as a group or something, and you could just, like, me and my friends would joke around like, she's just flirting with all the guys. Like, you just be like, she's not loyal. I'll just put it that way. And, but like I said, he said that he had no problem breaking up with her. Like, he wasn't heartbroken or anything like that. But could you imagine, man? Man, I don't know what I would do. I know I had one situation where we were dating, so it wasn't like we were together. We hadn't been together for a long time. And we went to like a friend of hers' birthday. But I think we were only dating for like a month or something. But we were seeing each other, right? We were hooking up regularly and stuff. But it wasn't official. And I remember there was just some guy there that was just all over her that she obviously knew. And she got drunk. And she kept letting the guy hug her. But on the flip side, I wasn't claiming to be with her. And I had a friend that was with me at the time, and I was embarrassed a little bit. But at the same time, I wasn't wanting to make her my girlfriend. And I felt like, is she trying to make me jealous right now? And it did upset me. And I said, look, if you ever invite me to something like that again, the next day when she's sober, I said, we're never going to see each other again. She didn't go home with the guy or anything like that. But the guy was just extremely flirtatious with her. Seemed like she knew him from before. But that one upset me. But it wasn't my girlfriend at the time. So, you know what? I just can't imagine that. But it happens, right? It happens. Maybe she engaged in some sort of relationship with both those dudes. I mean, it's possible the way the story was said that they were just in there skinny dipping and, hanging out. Even if that's true, it's faulty, right? Like you can't have your girlfriend in the hot tub having beers with some other dude at your place, right? No. And telling you like, hey, come on in. No. I can imagine loyal partner ain't to find every day. People are selfish. I'm selfish. Let's go. Best 2-week relationship ever. You know what people lose track of is how much alcohol has a control in these things, right? It's like these things don't usually happen when someone's just sober, right? Eve, how you doing, hon? They don't happen when, like, these are the kind of stories that come up when someone's been, heavily drinking, right? It's definitely not the same person when someone's wasted, right? And someone might say, oh, that's just an excuse. It is an excuse if it becomes a problem. It is something that still doesn't make it acceptable. But, would that person do the same thing if they were sober? I can deal with it. I just hang out. I'm not worried about it. No complaints. I don't know what I would do if I walked out and my girlfriend at the time was in a hot tub with some other guys. I will say this, I have been over the years at, multiple times where I've had a girlfriend that's drunk at a public event, and they're not necessarily sitting on some guy's lap or anything like that, but they're not being as mindful as they usually are. And like I said, if it's a big enough event, now it just came to my head another story, but this one's not as juicy, no pun intended. I went to it's probably one of the only times I've been to something like this. It was like it was like a corporate party, very, very expensive in the Bay Area. Like probably one of the most expensive Christmas parties I've ever been to. When I say expensive, it was in a very upscale area. And I had just been working for this real estate company. Anyway, I brought my girlfriend at the time. Girlfriend's completely loyal. Been with her for years. No questions asked. Like, not a big deal. Oh, okay. Thanks, bud. Thanks for that heads up, masculine, Kyle. So at this Christmas party, my girlfriend goes with me. At the time, my girlfriend didn't have a drinking problem or anything like that, but she actually didn't drink often. But when she would drink, she'd be a train wreck. Not like sitting on a guy's lap, just completely oblivious, right? Just not a good drinker. And so we go to this party. There's a lot of people there, a lot of people from work. There's a free-flowing champagne, everything. It's just the works, right? And my girlfriend was pretty good looking. I'll just say that. She's a good-looking woman. And yeah. you could tell that a lot of the guys at the party were looking at her. I don't mind that, because if you're dating a good-looking woman, that's going to happen, right? There's a difference. There's a line with respect. But there's this one guy that kept coming over to the table when I would leave and was like kneeling over, talking to her, trying to drop some game. And my girlfriend at the time, she was in her early 20s. I think we had a 5-year difference. We had 4 or 5 year difference. She's just a bit naive. She'd be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, just talk away." And one of my colleagues was like, "What's this guy over here doing?" I'm like, "I'm not worried about it." I really wasn't worried about it because there was no line being crossed. But she was drunk. The guy came over. I don't even know what he was into, but my friend's girlfriend or date at the time was sitting there also. And this is the ironic thing. So my girlfriend was getting hit on, but she wasn't responding to it in a way like, "Oh, yeah, let me get your number," or like, "Let's go out sometime," or "Let me sit on your lap," or like putting your arm around. Wasn't doing that. The guy was just trying to put in some work, right? And then I'd come around and he'd kind of like go away. Nothing came of it. And then on the car ride home, I remember my friend's girlfriend was like, "Yeah, that guy was totally hitting on so-and-so." My girlfriend at the time, I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." Like, it wasn't a big deal to me because there was no lines crossed, right? And the guy didn't go over the top. But guess what? He didn't go over the top on the disrespect. But I knew how loyal my girlfriend was, and I was confident enough in that. But my point is, the fact that she was really drunk, right, had her even answering those questions the way she was. But on the flip side, it probably attracted the guy over, like, she's drunk, right? I got a shot here. Wounded on the savannah. That's the part when, what I'm getting at with all this, when this guy tells this story and he goes, "Yeah, she kind of had a drinking problem when we first started dating, but I kind of overlooked it because it was just the weekends." So, yeah, we kind of had a couple situations where she made a scene here and there. It's like, that's not going away, dude. Right? And the thing is about people that like to drink, people want you to feel like they feel. People want you to do what they do. So a lot of times if you're with an individual that drinks a lot, they're gonna find a way to get you to drink more often because it makes them more comfortable. And it's just not healthy, right? Kinda a drinking problem. Yeah, Rob, exactly. It's funny, like I said, I just had this client. He was oblivious to the fact, well, she was drunk every time we'd meet up, but I liked it because the intimacy was good. I'm like, okay, what if you live together full time? Johanna Samuelson, welcome. Hey, what can I do if my ex will forget about me? We don't speak anymore and I panic. No contact, won't work, like he doesn't miss me and probably forget I exist. Johanna, first of all, how long were you together and what did you break up over? So I need to know that. Secondly, the only way someone's going to forget you is if they have amnesia, right? Right? So in my own personal situation, honestly, I've had situations where I've gone into no contact where I've broken up or they broke up with me, and I think about them every day. Does that mean I'm crying at the windowsill listening to, Whitney Houston, "I Will Always Love You" or some kind of shit? No. But it means that if you're a good girlfriend and you had a good relationship, you don't get amnesia on that shit. So they are thinking about you, but something's telling them it's just not going to work. The real question you got to ask, Johanna, why did you break up? What was the real problem? And is the real problem fixable? Right? See, that's the thing. A lot of times we miss our ex, myself included, in different times. So this is not exclusive, like, oh, that's never happened to me, I don't give a shit. It's bullshit. It's like I was watching that Fresh and Fit podcast, and I watched little snippets of it because that's a hot show right now. That's getting a lot of views and whatnot. I'm just interested in some of the topics they're talking about. And so they had these girls on, right? Tell me what you think of this, Kyle. They had these girls on, and the girl, I forgot what came up. It was something like, if a girl cheated on you, would you just be done? Something simple like that, right? And his answer was like, yeah, it would be non-negotiable. We'd just be done, and I would just walk away. Now, here's the thing. I agree. On paper, on a public YouTube thing, someone's going to go, oh, if I got cheated on, I'd be done. I'd just be done. What was the story? What was the circumstance? Now, I've never went back to a woman or been directly cheated on that I know of. Right? But it's not that simple. And no contact's not that simple. Just because you're not being contacted doesn't mean there's something that he's thinking about you in each day. Now, people get through relationships probably the quickest that meet someone else. But that doesn't mean there's a moment in the day. And it depends on how long you were together. If you're together 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, if you live together for over 5 years, the person doesn't forget about you. It's almost like family. The real question you got to ask, Johanna, is what was the problem in the breakup? Was it fixable? If it wasn't fixable, come on, and the water's good. Oh, don't mind two guys in there. Chuckster, you like that one, huh? Linda to John, he doesn't value you. He's moved on or looking to move on. Do the same. Forget about him so you can move on with yourself. We had a long distance, and we dated for 4 months, and we broke up a year ago. But we have been on and off, and he watches my Instagram stories. Well, there you go. Well, I left him because he refused to delete his female friend that he left for me. He keeps all his exes around and has 3 female friends. One is his ex he dated after me, then came back to me. And yes, we never met. Sadly, we planned to, but long distance online. Well, it sounds like those problems aren't fixable. So you basically say, hey, look, I'm not okay with you being friends with your ex. I'm not okay with you being friends with these particular women. That's your prerogative. That's your boundaries. That's up to you, right? There was a guy that I did a live coaching session with, I think a year and a half ago. Really mature guy in his 20s, actually. Really mature dude. And basically what happened was his girlfriend basically went gun to the head. You have to erase your ex-girlfriend. He only had one ex-girlfriend. It was like his high school sweetheart. They hadn't been together for like 2 or 3 years. He had no interest in reviving that relationship. He wasn't sending her smiley faces or, you know, anything like that. And he said that they were just genuine, real friends. And like it had been over for 3 or 4 years. So when she said, you have to delete this friend, he said no. She ended up breaking up with him over it. I thought that that was a bit extreme, but that was his decision to make. Because it starts out with, you have to do this, you have to do that. Now, if he's got a string of women on his social media and you feel it's shady, that's your, you know what I mean? That's your prerogative. If you're 20 years old, it says here right now, though, you're going to be, you're going to be dealing with that a lot now, I think. But you got to set your boundaries if you're not comfortable with it. You know what I mean? It's like, I will say this, in the monogamous, serious girlfriend-boyfriend relationships I've been in, once we get to that point, I don't feel like if an ex reached out to me or we talked that I would be crossing any line. But if I was to hang out with them regularly or message them regularly, yeah, that would be a bit of a no-no, right? Unless we had kids or we had something else, you know, going. Let's see here. By the way, long distance, it's God, man. I don't know about you, Kyle, but the long distance relationships are an epidemic right now. It's like the amount of people that have long distance relationships that people they didn't ever meet. People are meeting people on dating apps. It's tough. Relationships are tough, man. So long distance, it's possible. It's possible. But the odds are against you. And I'm not a negative person, right? And if you're going to be in a long distance relationship, you got to have extreme trust, and you just got to give people the benefit of the doubt. And if you don't have that, you create these open loops that will drive you batshit crazy. I mean, how many exes does he have? But long distance online, first boyfriend, so I panic. Well, here's the thing, Johanna. I would say this. You know what? If this would be a good time to send your story into myself or Kyle at Masculine Energy, but get someone that's a coach's outside opinion, because it's really important out of this breakup to get clarity, so you don't carry in the poison from this breakup into the next relationship and sabotage a good thing maybe. What do I mean by that? It's like, even if you're like, oh, we just broke up, this and that. Oh, let me just send him a quick question. Send me your full story. Talk to me for an hour or 2 hours. Same with Kyle or any other coach, whatever. Get it all out. Get clear on what happened. It doesn't mean you're going to feel better right away. Like you're going to go, oh my God, I feel 1,000 times. No, you just get some clarity on what happened and why. Get yourself educated a little bit better on how relationships work and where you might be looking at things in a twisted way. Because what happens is one breakup leads to the next breakup. Because if you had an ill situation that you didn't really pull the roots on, you're going to get into a good relationship and you're going to go, oh my God, this is the same situation as before, and you're going to sabotage it. So it's really good when you come out of a breakup, if you're second guessing things or you feel like you're confused, talk to someone about it. Get clear, get clarity. I miss the girl. Every day I think about it. She doesn't want me in the same way. I have to match that and not want her either. No hope, not going to happen, done. Clear your head. How do you know she doesn't want you in the same way, LinderTube? Okay, well, you never met. That's a big part of the dynamic there. I took exes back that cheated on me when I was much younger because I couldn't handle the emotions. It was a sense of denial, almost like being with her and end the pain, but it doesn't. Trust is everything. I agree, Kyle. I agree. I just know that when someone states like, oh, if I got cheated on, I would just be done. It would be that simple. No. I've talked to a lot of dudes that are masculine guys or, tough guys, and they get cheated on. They're hurt, man. It's not that, I'm not saying that they don't end up breaking up, but it's just not that simple that you're just done right away. Right? I know. I just thought he would delete them because he loved me. Everyone has their own definition of love, Johanna. So everyone thinks, oh, love is this, love is that. That's what love is to you. Love is defined by the individual. Conveyed love shown is conveyed by the individual. And that's why we have a lot of problems, because we all think the world is the same. But the world, within my eyes, within Rob IS's eyes, within LinderTube eyes, is just a little different or a lot different, right? Where you see green, I might see light green. Kyle might see dark green, right? And so when you think, oh, if he would have, that's what I would have done for him, right? The moral of the story, though, is you just didn't trust him. I'm 20. Well, I watch a lot of coaches, tried searching for help. Well, if you want to book a live coaching session with myself, if you don't find it useful or helpful, I'll give you a refund. I thought it would cost, but Masculine Energy and you are the only coaches that helps me. I tried searching for help, but they suck. Well, I'll take that as a compliment because I agree. I think Kyle's a very good, I've never been coached by him before, but we've had some good chats, and he's a genuine dude. And I think on YouTube, I think if you can be called genuine, honest, truthful, you're not selling snake oil, you're not telling people what they just want to hear. There's a lot of fucking value in that. So I'll throw you a Y, Kyle, on that one, as we do in Thailand. One masculine energy said, love is hard if you don't know what the fuck you are doing. I feel like I have no clue what I'm doing. That's a good point. First, figure out what love is to you, hun. You were raised by different parents than that guy. You had different life experiences. So, Johnny, you need to learn to let it go and move on from it. It takes time. I try, but he was my first boyfriend. I really loved him. I compare myself to the girl he left me for. Stay off the social media. 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 Stay off. That's, if I can give you one little piece of like general advice at 20 years old, if you're social media stalking right now, stop it. Stop investigating. You're not a detective, okay? You don't want to be a detective. You don't want to know. You don't want to know who the girl is. You don't want any pictures of her. If you smell for a moment your ex is seeing someone, this is what I recommend. Social media fast. So then you don't have to make it about your ex. You're going to go, oh, I'm actually just doing this because I want to take a break from social media, which isn't a bad idea. Do it for a month. Not because a month does any special, but everyone needs a fucking finish line. You get that finish line, you go, I don't know. Tell your friend, here's my passwords, in a month, give them back to me. I've had a few clients do that. You can, I don't know, you can, and don't just go, oh yeah, I'm just going to keep my Instagram so I can check all my pictures. Because I'm telling you right now, right? This is the best way I can put it. If you're fat and you're going on a diet, you don't want cookies and ice cream in the fridge. because you're going to eat them. If you're in a breakup and you think your ex is seeing someone else, or even this one, this is a classic. Let me just simplify it. If your ex looks happy, they look so happy because on Instagram it's competitive happiness for a lot of people, right? So everyone's happy. Or Facebook, one of these things. Where's your power? Stop looking at it. It's like compare it to what I just said. You're going on a diet. You don't want ice cream and cookies in the fridge, or you'll eat them. It's the same thing. Social media. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing, right? And don't hang out with friends. Like if one of your friends is like, oh my God, I just saw, Todd on Facebook. He looks like he's at the beach with some girl. You tell that friend, do not tell me anything more. Do not give me any reports on the situation. That's actually a bad friend. I've already said this is a broken record. I apologize for being redundant, Rob, because you're always on the show. But you got to hear me repeat myself sometimes. There's going to be rehabs for social media. That's an app. If I could invest in something, it would probably be social media rehabs. I don't know, Sabina. You think that it's a deep psychological issue comparing yourself with others? It's pretty human. It's pretty human. A lot of people do it. I think you grow out of it at a certain level. I think it's very common for people that are on social media nowadays. It's hard. It's hard. There's a good book called Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. That would be a good book. This would be a really good time, Johanna, at the age of 20. Go check out my book notes at writemac.com. There's some good books there. But getting into some self-help. Self-help has if you get into it, I don't know if you're the same way, Kyle, but you get to a point where a lot of the stuff, Rob reads a lot, it overlaps, it kind of gets old and you take a break from it. But I'd say at 20 years old, if you got some really good books right now, Smokey the Cat. It's a 5-year relationship, 3 years since the breakup. She wanted marriage and kids. We split. She's still in the same boat and now reaching out. The tables have turned, but I will never go back to her or any ex. Never. 3 years since the breakup. She wanted marriage and kids. We split. She's still in the same boat and now reaching out. So she wanted marriage and kids and you didn't at a 5-year relationship. So there you go. You know the problem. I mean, if someone wants marriage and kids, they've been together 5 years and you don't, that's an honest reason to break up, right? You're going in two different directions. You don't want to get talked into doing that. He was from Austria. Well, then good day, mate. You mean Australia? Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. I am so close to book a session with both of you. I know what annoys me. He likes her pictures 24/7 and none of mine while he dated just like one. Like I don't feel good enough. That's a common thing. That's a common thing, and social media doesn't help that. It feeds it. In social media, you're just constantly comparing yourself to other people. But like I said, Johanna, whether you book it with me or another coach, it is a good thing to do because at 20 years old, you want to get out in front of this. And I'll be honest, a 4-month relationship, long distance, it's not going to take as long a recovery as a 5-year, 6-year, 7-year. And you'll learn some things by going through this relationship with a fine-tooth comb and then figuring out what it is you really want. I know from a young age, when I was young, you just go, fee, fi, fo, she's hot, I like her, right? And then you're attracted to personality traits, absolutely, right? But you don't really look for what you're looking for, if that makes sense. Rob, yes, but then when this individual learns and figures out how life is, a simple, ridiculous, real living starts. Joanna, go out and find a new guy. Please do it for us, Sabina says. Well, I gave up on love, Sabina. I feel... Oh, no. 20 years old and sick of it all, huh? I just gave up on love. Come on. Oh, man. Kyle, I don't mind if she books with you or books with me, but it's all good in the hood. I really don't mind. Well, I gave up on love, Sabina. I feel I find someone, he will probably leave for someone else. I unreservedly believe you will find someone better and closer to you. You're too young, attractive, and caring not to. Well, that's very kind of you, Chuckster. Dumb and Dumber is such a great movie, huh? Kick his ass, Seabass. Cheers from San Diego, coach. Man, I got some... Did I know you in San Diego? Yeah, I have to be honest, Johanna. And I'll say this with love. You're being a bit dramatic when you said, well, I gave up on love at 20 years old. Give me a break. Come on. Just... You're going to get it right. What part of San Diego are you in, Smokey? Same here. Just trying to be rich out here, says Elena P., Miami's finest. Shrimp on the Barbie was, I mean, they didn't invent that. Another shrimp on the Barbie. I think Cheech and Chong had, I think he had one of those lines too. But Dumb and Dumber's great. Kick his ass, C-Mass. Why is everyone giving up on love? Everyone's not giving up on love, O product. What's up, Petty Betty? Well, we had 2 stories early on. Things just got revved up right now. We got 18 on deck, 4 likes. Donations are welcome. Questions are ready to go. If you have a story you want to send in, rightmac.com has a new website. It's easier to run than do the work. Be your best. Find your purpose. Do you ever get sick of that, Kyle? Like hearing that? You just got to find your purpose, man. It's like now it's getting redundant for me. It's like, well, what's the tools to find your purpose? Right? It's such a broad statement. I understand it. I understand it. A relationship should never be your number one purpose. That's a good line, Rob. I agree with that 1,000%. The minute it becomes your number one purpose, puts you at a really bad position. But I'm just wondering, when people say find your purpose, do they know? Don't we have more than one purpose? What does it? I mean, is it better to say find your purpose is? Would you say you just have one purpose, Rob? Rob says, I can offer some crypto advice. Short answer, buy it. Rob, that'll make her rich enough. I love being in love. How many times have you really been in love, Petty Betty? That's a good question, huh? just this dramatic girl that is giving up on love after her first ex. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you got to cry, cry. If you got to vent and be, you got to say these dramatic things, sometimes you do. I mean, everyone's been there. Point Loma. I used to be out in PB in Mission Beach, my friend. I know Point Loma. Good question for Johanna would be, what is love for her? I agree. I think it's becoming one of those cliche things. It is a bit, right, Kyle? It is. Like I said, I think we have more than one purpose. For sure. But I think that it gets narrowed down if you have kids. At least that's the way. I don't have kids right now, but my friends that have kids, it gets really crystal clear. I got to take care of my kids. I got to do what's best for my kids. I got to raise my kids. I got like 5. There you go. O product. What? O product says, what? That's not dramatic when you feel that way when you're attached to the idea of a particular individual. You know this, Mac. It's tough, but people that choose to value someone unavailable, beware. I think here's when you have to check yourself with a dramatic statement. And I don't mean it. Let me be clear on this. And people that know me in live coaching sessions, I mean it in a playful way. I don't mean it in, oh, you're just being dramatic. Did you notice my tone when I said it? So it's not like I'm taking a shot at Johanna. I'm saying, come on, right? Because what happens is one of the most dramatic statements people make is, I'll never find love again. I'll never meet someone like this again. They'll never call me again. What's never? It's probably one of the most dramatic statements you can make. I believe a few purposes, but some people become too focused on relationships as their main focus. I agree, my friend. Still can be 10K for ones who like to be a bit more risky. Many people have purpose to find a partner, a rich partner, and get married and milk them. Are you projecting, Sabina? It just depends on who I'm with. I figured a crew would get a Dumb and Dumber quote. One thing though, am I wrong for not wanting my boyfriend to have female friends? Because what I experienced wasn't fun. I can't just trust a guy that won't delete his female friends from me, girlfriend. I mean, me personally, if I had a girlfriend and I have female friends, but I don't really chat with them a lot. But I'll have someone I just had someone reach out that we were good friends years ago. We were colleagues as teachers. And she actually lives in South Africa now. She's like, oh, I just had a dream about you. We're friends and stuff. So let's link up and have a FaceTime, catch up. Like if my girlfriend at the time said, you can't talk to her. No, I wouldn't, I have a lot of friends. So it depends on how strict you're being about it. But the bottom line is you got to figure that out for yourself. Are you being paranoid? Are you being reasonable? Are you doing something that you want, you know what I'm saying? You got to figure out your own rules to your own relationship. Me personally, I wouldn't, look at my job. I talk to women all the time. So, where does it end? And you might ask yourself, was it valid? There's a difference between if it's valid or not valid. Where was it coming from? Was it paranoia or did you catch him doing something? These are things we'd have to talk to deeper in a coaching session. People need to love themselves more than their partner. First, give love to yourself, then others. That's extreme scarcity. That I'll never find love. Yeah. Maybe make it a smaller goal and just say start dating again. You know what I mean? It's like when I tell people to go on bad dates, just start dating again. Stop looking for love. Never stop spinning the plate, says Smokey the Cat. Point Loma's finest. Johanna, those are insecurities you have. All right, cuz like he just talks to them, blah, 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 but then he fell involved, so it's like, meh. He knew me before her, and he prioritized her over me. I'm done with all these rules. You never really knew him. I flat out told an ex, you can replace me, but I can't replace you. I was never able to replace her. Right on, Kyle. I was never able to replace her. It was a friendship that flowed and was fun, and there was chemistry. She was rare. Comparing sucks. Well, here's the thing, dude. Let me break it down for you like this, Mr. LinderTube. Put this in your pipe and smoke it. As Kush Boo Luhar jumps on. Whenever you break up with anyone, let me be crystal clear on this. You're never going to find someone like that again. And yes, I use the word never. That's when that applies. You know why? Because everyone's a little bit unique. Everyone's a little bit unique. You know, you meet people and they remind you of someone, right? It's ironic. Kyle from Masculine Energy, there's a guy I went to high school with. Look, they don't look just alike, but their tone, the way they talk, they look alike. He reminds me of this guy I went to high school with, and he was a buddy of mine, not a really good friend of mine, but a cool dude. So I immediately was like, when this guy started his channel, I was like, I like this guy. He reminds me of so-and-so, right? But they're not the same person. Human beings individually are intricate. So there's nuance to every human being. So when you say, like, I'll never meet someone like that, don't fight it. That's the truth. You won't. You won't. You can compare someone and go, oh, they're kind of similar. But you won't. And that's okay. Because you might meet a better fit. You might meet someone that you line up with better. But here's the catch. It's going to take time. And it's actually going to take you finding out what you really want. And then hanging out in the areas that you would find people like that at. That's the big part that people miss. Why am I meeting all these where are you meeting them? How are you going about it? And are you filtering negatively? But you whenever you do break up, I'm going to tell you right now, you're right. You aren't going to, unless someone has an identical twin, right? You aren't going to meet another person like that. But I've had 4 breakups in my life. With 2 of them being long-term relationships, and I won't meet anyone like that again. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. And the thing is if you think like, damn, like I'm never gonna meet someone like that again. You aren't. Every human being's rare. Like I said, you can relate looks to someone else, maybe tone, maybe a few different things, but they're not the same person. Now, here's a crazy thing. Let me just throw this little piece onto this. It's like, have you ever noticed when there's someone that's got 4 or 5 brothers and sisters? It's not as common as it used to be, right? They're raised by the same parents in the same house, I guess with the same values, but they end up acting different. Me personally, I don't think I think there's some things you pick up, but where the nuance comes from is all the little experiences that have happened to you individually are a culmination of you. All these little moments. It's like, let's say like when you're 6 years old, you go and ride a skateboard, you face plant, you fall flat on your fucking face, you break your nose, you never ride a skateboard again. But your brother becomes a pro skater, right? That experience and that situation and that 10 seconds that it happened changed everything. This is how people are. So when you say, oh, I'll never meet another person, you're right. You're absolutely right. That being said, if you hold on to that, does it serve you? What if you said, man, we had a really good time. That's a really good girlfriend. I love her still. I hope she's doing well. If a guy told me I can't have male friends, I'll tell him he can't either. Peace. Mac, no, projecting, just remembering how one guy tried to make me his sugar mama. Thanks again, Kyle, for the 10 bones. Right, I thought of that. I had a FaceTime with him there. He seemed normal. Like, isn't he technically the same as on FaceTime because you see expressions? Should we wait for someone to come back, or is that just degraduation? Kushbu, maybe send in your full story, because that's just, I'll just be pissing in the wind with an answer to that, my friend. Should we wait for someone to come back, or just what happened in your breakup? I would say this: if you're waiting for someone to come back, you're probably looking for pity, and that's never attractive. And if you are waiting for someone to come back and they do come back, you're probably going to be over anxious and sabotage the situation. But I still need to know your situation to give you a tailored answer. Chuckster, thanks for the $9.99. You are appreciated. Look at Coach. His purpose has made a difference in many people's lives in teaching and coaching. We should all be so lucky. Well, thanks, Chuckster. That's a kind thing to say, my friend. I've met a lot of cool people over the years. I'll tell you what, it's been a privilege being a teacher for years, too. That's a life experience. I forfeited being a residential real estate agent in the Bay Area, and a pretty good agency with a pretty good mentor. I didn't know what was going to become of it, but I would have been doing damn well right now financially if I'd have stuck with that. Don't think that doesn't go through my mind from time to time. But on the flip side, wouldn't trade in my experiences as a teacher or living in Thailand or these last 3-4 years coaching and talking to people in different parts of the world. It's been glorious. That being said, I just want everyone to know I still have moments where I have trouble in life or I have some problems come up. Anyone that presents themselves as bulletproof to life's problems, being discontent, being upset. Because I get people, well, what do you do when you have problems? What about this? Shh. I talk to myself. I say, hey, coach, what you going to do? You got all the answers, right? I write it out. I journal it out. But like I said, my life's not bulletproof either. We all got problems or issues or shit that comes up. I believe that life's just a series of sequenced events. One leads to the next, one leads to the next, one leads to the next. Also, if an ex comes back after a year, let's say they didn't prioritize you now, but coming back saying, I will now, do you take them back? That's a choice you have to make based on your own intuition. If you still don't, you got to ask yourself, is the problem fixed? So you saying someone is irreplaceable? No, I'm saying that you'll never meet someone like that again. But if you say someone's irreplaceable, I would need to know what you mean by that. But if you say, what if we reframe it to this, Elena P? Is it possible for me to meet someone that's a better or equal match to this person? as far as what they bring to the table and my happiness and excitement for being with someone, yeah, then they are replaceable. But as far as meeting someone that has the same exact qualities as the individual that you're with, no. No, there's going to be some nuance, right? There might be some similarities, but there's going to be nuance. So you're never going to be able to replace someone with the exact same thing. It's not like going to the store and going, hey, this chair is defected. I want the same one. It doesn't work that way. There is no same ones. So like I said, why not embrace the fact that you can meet someone equal or better? Like if you look at the things why you broke up and then you start dating or seeing someone that counters those things that you didn't like, it's a whole new world. Feels odd to look for someone similar because she was able to replace me, but I miss the personality traits of someone that could replace me. Why do you feel like she replaced you? Every person is unique in its way. Absolutely. You never met the one like me, and I never met the one like you. Go meet someone new. I'm going to book a session before I turn mental. All right, Johanna, I'll help you. That's a good question, Elena P. I don't have a journaling practice where I'm like, oh, every morning I do 5-minute journal. I kind of spontaneously do it. I would say that I've probably been doing it for a good 10 years, but I don't really keep track. It was funny when I went home to visit my parents in Cali. My mom pulled out all this old stuff, and I found my journals. I found these journals that I had from when I had come out of a breakup, the bad breakup I had when I was like 27, 28. And I went through it, and I'm like, damn. You're repeating yourself a lot here. But I kept telling myself, it's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. But yeah, probably like 10, 11 years. Journaling is really good. What I suggest with journaling is out of a breakup, you can just, vomit out your feelings and just write out shit. But I would say the other thing to do is to ask yourself questions. Ask yourself questions and answer those questions honestly. Married 7 billion was early 2007. I remember because former UN secretary. Okay, so this is, and I follow those things. But I feel if every guy has female friends and I can't handle that, guess I'm going to be single. You're looking to control the relationship, right? And there's something to that from, was your parents divorced or did your dad cheat on your mom? There's something to that that's deeper than this guy. Each one of us is very unique. It's the absolute truth, Eve. It's hard writing it out here. Kushbar, I would go to writemac.com, send your story in, and I could read it on the show, and that's the best way to unpack it. If you want to do a live coaching, we could do that. Schwarzenegger, and he had a kid with the house lady. I don't know what that's in regards to, but I remember that story. The kid looks just like Schwarzenegger, by the way. Laugh out loud. It's so dramatic. I laugh when I read over my journal writing. Oh, when when I was saying that you'll never find love again at 20, I didn't mean to laugh directly at you, Johanna. I think you know that. Like I said, in a playful way, is because I remember being in a couple breakups where I was dramatic with myself, and then you look back and you go, life worked out. I kept showing up. I kept moving forward and moving on. And when you meet, this is going to sound simple and a bit cheesy, wheezy, peasy. But if I can simplify it for you, when you're at your best or you're at a moment where you feel really complete. Wow, we got a serious rainstorm going on right now. Almost want to show you guys that. Nah, I don't know if it'll show you. When you get to a point where you really feel that you've connected a lot of dots in your life, you feel like you got a job that you like and different things, that's when you find someone really good. You can hear the storm. That's a good one. This is a good tropical storm. I love where I live. Is that right, Eve? Oh my goodness. Eve lives in Phuket also. I don't mind it. It never gets cold here. I rarely wear socks. It's just how I know those female friends can turn easily into girlfriends later. I don't. Here. You want me to give you some real deal Holyfield advice right now, Johanna? You don't know. That's an assumption. You don't know. But if you feel that way, and you feel like you're guessing correctly, there's a reason you feel that way. Not everyone comes to that conclusion. Because you don't know. I can almost smell it, the rain. All right, folks, we've gone on 1 hour, 36 minutes. It's been good and glorious. Chuckster, thanks for the donation. Kyle, if you're still on, thanks for popping your head in the door. I appreciate you, bud, and your coaching and your channel and everything you do. Johanna, this was your first time on the show. I hope it was a good experience. Eve, you're appreciated. Elena P., thanks for liking the ambiance. I know you're in Miami. You're in a pretty nice place. I've never been there, but I've heard good stories. Chuckster, keep being you because you like you and I like you. And we're going to make some more live streams more regular here. I know I keep talking about this. The wheel's turning with the new website, rightmac.com. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. If you want to turn in your story or book a live coaching session, go for it. If not, it's all good. It's curtains.